I'm just going to stand here. You give me your best punch, all right?
Oh, yeah, sure. You just gonna stand and let me take a shot? My mama didn't raise no stoop niggle.
Whatever you say, I gave you my word.
Oh, Fonzie, that's not the plan.
When you see Shane, then we'll talk.
Few shows captured the heart of the 70s and 80s like Happy Days, the series that made diners, doo-wop, and the Fonz iconic. But behind the jukebox charm, Happy Days nearly took dramatic turns nobody expected. Here are 15 surprising moments and decisions that could have changed the show's history forever. Number 1. The spin-off nearly killed the original. Let's go back to 1974, a time when poodle skirts may have been gone, but the nostalgia of Happy Days had just arrived on ABC. After the wild success of spin-offs like Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy, executives wondered if lightning could keep striking. But behind the laughter, something was brewing. ABC, smelling more success, wanted even more spin-offs, but executive producer Thomas Miller stepped in. He knew too many offshoots might drain the Happy Days magic. Miller demanded creative control, halting further spin-offs. His move kept Richie, Fonzie, and the Cunningham family right at the center, preserving that soda shop sparkle without drowning it in imitation. The risk was real. The show could have faded fast, diluted by its own popularity. Instead, thanks to Miller's stand, Happy Days stayed at the heart of primetime through 255 episodes, leaving us with jukebox jingles and leather jackets well into the early 80s. Sometimes restraint is the secret ingredient. Number 2. The Jump the Shark episode was a joke, but became legendary. Sun-drenched California beaches, a leather jacket, and a water ski rope. No one watching Happy Days in 1977 expected a single episode to turn into the birth of a phrase. When the writers staged Fonzie's infamous water ski jump over a shark, they did it half in jest. Henry Winkler, with his signature swagger, actually performed much of the stunt himself, the Fonz cruising across the water in cut-off swim trunks and boots. The moment was meant as pure fun, a wink to audiences who never expected their beloved Milwaukee gang to land in such outrageous territory. But instead of just another wacky storyline, Jump the Shark became television legend. A shorthand for the moment a show leaves its magic behind. Decades later, the term is part of everyday conversation, used far beyond the sitcom world. Who could have guessed that one playful stunt in Season 5 would define an era and become bigger than Richie, Potsie, or even Happy Days itself? Sometimes the boldest risks create the loudest echoes. Let's see what else was happening on set just out of frame. Number 3. Arnold's drive-in almost got demolished. The sizzle of burgers on the griddle, the neon lights glowing in the evening, Arnold's drive-in was more than just a set on Happy Days. It was the heart of the show, where Richie, Fonzie, and the gang swapped stories and shared dreams. But as producers looked ahead to Season 4 in 1976, they considered tearing down Arnold's to refresh the show's look. Fans, however, had a different vision. Letters flooded the ABC. Offices pleading, demanding, and even begging for Arnold's to stay. The audience's voices rang louder than any plan on paper. Producers listened, scrapping demolition plans in favor of a remodel. The inside got a facelift, adding fresh booths and brighter lighting, yet the soul of Arnold's remained. This beloved hangout became one of television's most memorable gathering spots, a place where the regulars and the viewers at home felt instantly at ease. Sometimes nostalgia wins out over novelty, and the clatter of milkshake glasses continues echoing down memory lane. Number 4. Erin Moran nearly left for another show. A burst of chatter rippled through studio corridors in the late 70s. By Season 5 of Happy Days, Erin Moran, who played the plucky Joanie Cunningham, found herself at the center of some serious behind-the-scenes drama. Competing networks circled, hoping to lure her away with the promise of her own show before Joanie Loves Chachi was even a glimmer in ABC's eye. ABC, realizing the vital spark she brought to the family dynamic, scrambled to keep her on their set. They pitched fresh storylines, plumped up her paycheck, and made Joanie a true cornerstone, not just the kid sister on the couch. It worked. Erin stayed, guiding Joanie through big arcs as Happy Days continued to draw millions of fans into America's living rooms every week. But in the glow of studio lights, you could feel how one big decision backstage nearly shifted the course of an iconic series. For fans, it meant Joanie's heart stayed exactly where it belonged, for a while longer. And just ahead, Happy Days is about to face even bigger turning points. Number 5. Fonzie's leather jacket fought network censors. ABC executives in 1974 saw Fonzie's leather jacket as a problem. To network censors, black leather was synonymous with trouble, something they didn't want in the living rooms of America. Bizarre as it sounds now, the plan was simple. Keep the Fonz in a windbreaker. But show creator Gary Marshall pushed back, insisting that Fonzie, played by Henry Winkler, had to wear a leather jacket to look authentic. Marshall struck a wild deal. Fonzie could keep the jacket, but only if he stayed close to a motorcycle. This led writers to stage countless scenes with the Fonz mysteriously glued to his bike, even indoors. By 1975, audiences had embraced both the man and the leather, and the network finally eased up. Fonzie's jacket became a symbol of cool, and what started as a rule became a running visual gag, powering Happy Days to legendary status. With a single prop, a character, and a show earned its swagger, and TV boards would never look at black leather the same way again. Let's pause for a second. Did you ever want a leather jacket after watching Fonzie light up the screen? Or did your school have its own dress code legends? Drop your Happy Days memories and let's compare stories while we catch our breath for the next round. Number 6. The theme song switched and almost tanked the ratings. The opening jangle of Rock Around the Clock defined Happy Days for its first 2 seasons, giving every episode the feel of a jukebox springing to life. But in 1976, ABC handed down a network note that startled loyal fans. The theme song had to change. Suddenly, the original Bill Haley number faded out, replaced by the upbeat, tailor-made tune Happy Days, sung by Pratt and McLean. Viewers wrote letters. They called the network. They wanted their old theme back. For a fleeting moment, executives nearly buckled, considering a total reversal. Yet, a funny thing happened. Ratings kept climbing, and the new song caught on. It became so iconic that today, most remember Sunday, Monday, Happy Days as the heart and soul of the show. This bold switch nearly defined and doomed the nostalgia-soaked series in one fell swoop. Yet it also proved TV fans could embrace the new, if given a chorus worth humming. Next up, let's see what other off-screen shakeups rocked your favorite primetime memories. Number 7. The show could have been set in the 1920s. Picture this. Instead of sock hops and jukeboxes, imagine flappers and jazz filling your TV screen every week. When Gary Marshall first sat down to create what would become Happy Days, his original vision had nothing to do with Richie Cunningham's 1950s world. He pitched the series around the Roaring Twenties, picturing zoot suits, Charleston dancing, and the shadow of Prohibition. The 1920s felt safe, far enough removed, full of nostalgia, but also unfamiliar to contemporary audiences. Yet when ABC previewed the rough concept, something surprising happened. Test groups reacted far more warmly to a different kind of memory lane, the rock and roll explosion of the 1950s. Audiences craved the hum of diners and the unmistakable sound of Bill Haley and his Comets. The vibe was right. Suddenly the plans changed. Producers retooled the show, swapping flapper dresses for leather jackets, and in 1974, Happy Days debuted with a look and sound rooted firmly in mid-century America. One test group's preference rippled out, forever defining TV's vision of the American dream. Sometimes fate hands you a jukebox instead of a jazz trumpet, and the rest, as they say, is history. Number 8. Scott Baio almost played Richie's brother Chuck. Imagine a universe where Scott Baio, not Chachi, was introduced as the older Cunningham brother, Chuck. Early in Happy Days' run, producers needed someone to play Richie's basketball-loving sibling. Before Scott Baio charmed America as Chachi Arcola, he auditioned for Chuck Cunningham, a role that barely made it past 3 episodes. If Baio had snagged that part, the series might have kept Chuck around, giving the Cunninghams a whole different rhythm and a more complex sibling rivalry. Instead, Gavin O'Herlihy and later Randolph Roberts portrayed Chuck, but the character vanished mysteriously after Season 2. Baio would eventually join the cast in 1977 as the beloved Chachi, instantly shaking up the show's teen heartthrob factor. Just picture it, a Happy Days where Chuck becomes a star and Chachi never exists. Sometimes the roles people don't get end up writing television history in their own way. A reminder that the smallest casting shift can send nostalgia in a whole new direction. Number 9. Marion Ross nearly quit over equal pay. Over the gentle hum of the Cunningham's kitchen, few viewers realized just how close Marion Cunningham came to vanishing from Happy Days. In In 1975, behind the scenes, Marion Ross was offered significantly less pay than her male co-stars, despite being the matriarch that anchored the show. Her laughs, wisdom, and warmth were the soul of the family, but the paycheck told a different story. Ross, never one to be discounted, drew a line, threatening to walk off if she wasn't compensated fairly. The producers hesitated, knowing her absence would leave a gaping hole. In the end, they gave in. Ross's quiet courage ensured the Cunningham family stayed whole and sent ripples through Hollywood, challenging the way TV valued its leading ladies. You can practically hear the clatter of dishes, the aroma of meatloaf on the table, and, because Marion stayed, the reassuring rhythm of home. On to the next surprising turn in the Happy Days saga. Number 10. A real bar fight almost ended filming. Beneath the warm glow of Arnold's neon sign, things once got a little too real. During Season 2, the set of Happy Days became such a convincing hangout, it actually drew in rowdy fans from the street. One night in 1975, without any cameras rolling, a noisy argument at the studio bar escalated into a genuine fistfight, sending drinks flying, crew scrambling, and threatening to bring filming to a grinding halt. Security rushed in, and production bosses considered locking things down for good. But the cast and crew took inspiration instead, channeling that chaos into some truly memorable brawls on screen at Arnold's. Episodes later that season pulsed with new energy, their barroom scuffles laced with a hint of real-life edge. Suddenly, the line between fiction and reality blurred, and the set felt more alive than ever. In the end, Happy Days survived its rowdiest night. Not with more rules, but with a wink and a nod to the pandemonium of youth. Next up, we dive deeper into the moments that kept this classic firing on all cylinders. Number 11. Potsie was supposed to be the star. Before Fonzie stole the spotlight and Richie became America's favorite redhead, there was another name at the top of the call sheet, Potsie Weber. Producer Gary Marshall, dreaming up Happy Days in the early 70s, saw real star potential in Anson Williams. Early drafts revolved around Potsie's jittery charm, his anxious jokes, and his nervous heartthrob persona. But when ABC rolled out the casting list in 1974, the network brass nudged the show in a different direction. Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard, looked and felt like the quintessential boy next door. He became the show's emotional anchor, shifting Potsie to best pal status and pushing the original dynamic off to the side. If Marshall had gotten his way, those tales from Milwaukee might have centered on Potsie's stumbles instead of Richie's steady path. The laughter and lessons you remember on Thursday nights almost belonged to a different hero. Every show has its sliding doors. Sometimes the smallest network note can echo for generations. Up next, we'll dig into another twist that changed history. Number 12. The first episode was a recycled pilot from Love, American style. Here's a curveball most fans never see coming. Happy Days wasn't born in its iconic Milwaukee home. In fact, the very first episode wasn't even called Happy Days at all. Back in 1972, a half-hour story titled Love and the Television Set aired as part of the quirky anthology show Love, American Style. This offbeat, almost experimental segment featured Ron Howard as Richie Cunningham, in a world not quite nailed down to the Happy Days we know by heart. It might have faded into TV obscurity, a one-off skit lost among love stories, if it hadn't resonated with viewers and network execs. But the spark was there. The promise of small-town nostalgia, teenage crushes, and malt shop magic. Without the gamble of this pilot within a show, Happy Days almost certainly wouldn't have launched as its own series in 1974. Imagine, no Fonz, no "sit on it" catchphrase, no nationwide craze for poodle skirts and jukeboxes. A narrow brush with what could have been, rescued by a little TV serendipity, just one of many surprises that shaped TV history. And the next twist, like a needle dropped on a vinyl 45, was always right around the corner. Number 13. Fonzie was almost a minor character. The clack of a jukebox and the flick of a leather jacket. No one could imagine Happy Days without the Fonz. But in the very first season in 1974, Fonzie was just a minor character, barely a blip in the high school halls. Producers thought his bit part would quietly fade behind the show's main star, Ron Howard as Richie Cunningham. Yet the viewers instantly latched on, sending fan mail and turning every "hey" into an event. Henry Winkler's quiet confidence and undeniable charm pulled focus from the background to the spotlight. His role expanded so quickly that by the second season, Fonzie was on lunchboxes, pinball machines, and t-shirts across America. Without that groundswell of audience love, Arthur Fonzarelli might have disappeared with the milkshakes. Instead, he became the pulse of the entire series. Sometimes a leather jacket and a little swagger can rewrite television's destiny. Next, we'll uncover how another behind-the-scenes twist nearly derailed everything. Number 14. Ron Howard nearly turned down Richie. Picture this. It is the early 70s, and Ron Howard, still remembered fondly as Opie from The Andy Griffith Show, sits at a crossroads. He is hesitant. The offer on the table is to play Richie Cunningham in a new sitcom called Happy Days. But Ron is wary. He worries that stepping into another all-American teen role will forever stamp him as the boy next door. He is just 19. The idea of getting typecast weighs on him. If Ron had turned down the part, the wholesome, good-hearted soul at the heart of Happy Days might have been someone entirely different. The chemistry between Richie, Potsie, and eventually Fonzie was nothing short of magic, thanks in no small part to Ron's gentle humor and easy warmth. In the end, he leaped, and television nostalgia was never the same. Imagine the history of prime time without Ron's earnest, slightly dorky smile lighting up 1974 screens. Somehow, the show would have felt a lot less like home. Number 15. The original title was not Happy Days. Imagine stumbling onto a show called Cool or even New Family in town. Hard to picture it becoming the Happy Days you know and love. Before that iconic theme and the legendary diner booths, producers wrestled with the perfect name. In early 1974, as scripts circled Hollywood, ABC executives worried that neither temporary title delivered the warm, nostalgic punch they wanted. Focus groups shrugged. Something was missing. When they finally floated the name Happy Days, test audiences lit up. Suddenly, everyone could feel themselves at Arnold's, jukebox humming, the Fonz snapping his fingers nearby. This last-minute switch saved the series from fading into obscurity before it even aired. Without the right name, who knows if Richie Cunningham and his gang would ever have jumped into America's hearts. Sometimes one word makes all the difference. Next, we'll see just how close the show came to losing its most memorable faces.